I've upgraded my laptop to the MacBook Pro with the M2 Max and 96GB of RAM. But even though I've made this upgrade, I actually still recommend the M1 MacBook Air with 16GB of RAM to most developers. There's only a couple of reasons why I upgraded, but the main one is video editing. Even though my profession is programming, I still enjoy video editing and creating motion graphics as an outlet. So I sold my MacBook Air, which I highly miss and sort of regret, and I found a great deal on getting a refurbished M2 MacBook Pro from Apple. And as you can imagine, I experienced a huge boost in performance, specifically with video editing. Although in terms of programming and my everyday tasks, the M1 MacBook Air was just as good. But I want to focus on some of the added benefits I've enjoyed from using the 16-inch MacBook Pro as a programmer working from home. Going from 8GB of RAM to 96GB has been insane. Apart from After Effects, which can easily eat up any amount of RAM you give it, I don't think I've ever pushed it past 96GB. Honestly, 64GB would have probably been enough, but not having to worry about RAM at all has been great. I now have multiple desktops open at once. 2 are used for work-related apps, I use the third desktop for general web browsing, and the fourth one has all my video editing apps open. Having all that RAM means I can just leave all those apps running on the multiple desktops, so I don't even have to close Chrome, which usually has more than 50 tabs open at once. Not that I'm proud of that. But being able to just flick over to my video editing apps on the weekend and having it exactly how I left it is just so convenient. As someone who wears glasses and prefers bigger text, having the bigger screen has definitely helped me a little more. This just means I can use my laptop around the house for longer periods of time when I don't have to be at my desk for a video meeting. My code editor can just about fit 2 columns, so I can have 2 modules open at once. And on a sunny day, I can take advantage of the brightness that goes all the way up to 1600 nits using the Vivid app. And on the evenings when I'm editing, I have plenty of screen real estate to see the video preview and the timeline. From my experience, I do prefer having the larger screen size when using the laptop around the house, but for occasions when I'm needing to take the laptop outside, that's where I think the MacBook Air really had its benefits and is one of the main reasons why I want to pick one up again in the future. I made an entire video about my AirPod experiences when using them for video meetings. In that video, I mentioned that the new AirPod Pros 2 have Bluetooth 5.3, but my MacBook Air had Bluetooth 5.0, so I wasn't taking full advantage of it. But now that this MacBook also has Bluetooth 5.3, I'm able to say that the quality in the video meetings does sound even better when using AirPods. In my first YouTube video, I showed the day in the life of me working from home with the MacBook Air to see how long the battery lasts. It got me 9 to 10 hours on a busy day that was full of meetings and coding. I'm going to do the same test using this laptop to see if it's any better. So I started my day off with the laptop fully charged, and at 9 AM I began my day by using Chrome to catch up on work emails and check in on my current tickets. After doing this for about an hour, the battery went down from 100% to 95%. Soon after, I had to jump on a call, and that meeting lasted for 30 minutes, which took the battery down to 85%. I was then using Chrome for another 30 minutes, and by the end of the hour the battery was down to 82%. After a 15-minute breakfast break, the battery dropped to 80% while being on idle. The next hour was quite Chrome intensive. By mainly using Google Chats, it took the battery down to 71%. Finally getting into some coding, the battery was down to 63% by lunchtime. After coming back from lunch, the battery had dropped down to 61% while being on standby. From 2 PM until 3 PM, I checked emails, responded to chats, watched a YouTube video on Python, wrote some code, and then finished up the hour by writing up some documentation. The battery was down to 51%. At 3 PM, I had a Google meeting that lasted 15 minutes, and that alone took the battery down to 46%. Then until 4 PM I continued coding and using Chrome, and by that time the battery was down to 38%. From 4 PM to 4:30 I had a Zoom meeting, and that took the battery down to 32%, which did better than the Google meeting. And after taking a tea break and then getting back to some emails, the battery was down to 28%. From 5 PM to 5:30, I had a meeting, I checked some emails, and I continued that Python YouTube video. The battery went down to 22%. And finally, by the end of the day, the battery was at 15%. So that was around 8 to 9 hours just on battery. But yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, this machine really gets utilized for my video editing and motion graphics work. In terms of my work from home job and most programming projects, it's overkill. I do miss my MacBook Air, and hopefully one day I'll pick one up again. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're seeing this video for the first time, please check out my other videos and consider subscribing. It would be great to get 1,000 subscribers this year, so please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you later.